Hello, humans, wardens, dinosaurs, vivosaurs, pterodactyls, or whoever else might be watching this video. I'm Yoshiller, a video editor and walkthrougher on my own channel, and a writer and reviewer for GoNintendo. In today's review, I shall be discussing the recently released Nintendo 3DS title known as Fossil Fighters Frontier. Going into this game, I didn't quite know what to expect. This is the third game in the Fossil Fighters franchise, but I haven't played the other two. But I live by this logic. If I haven't played another game in the franchise and I still had fun with the game that I played, then it must be a good game. So I decided to see how this game would play out if I went in completely blind. And that wasn't hard to do, as I hardly even heard of this game prior to playing it. Apparently, Nintendo hardly even promoted it. The game was showcased at E3 2014, but I was there, mostly at Nintendo's booth, and I don't recall seeing anything related to Fossil Fighters. I know that Nintendo discussed the game in their January 2015 Nintendo Direct, but aside from that, I didn't really hear much about the game until it was just about to get released. So Nintendo didn't really promote it too much, and when it did come time to launch the game, it was launched alongside Mario Party 10. Naturally, because it's Mario, Mario Party 10 took the spotlight. But, was that the right thing to do? Is Fossil Fighters Frontier a game that is deserving of being brought back into the light? Or is it a game that should just stay buried and be forgotten? So, for better or for worse, there's a bunch of stuff to do in this game. This is a good thing, because it means that there's all sorts of replay value, and that you'll be getting a bunch of content for the $40 that you plan to put down on this game. However, in my eyes, this also serves as a bad thing. It actually helps serve as the main problem for this game. This game is a little all over the place. The main idea in this game is that dinosaurs are resurrected from fossils, and these resurrected dinosaurs are known as vivosaurs. In the game, there are people, including you, the player, that are trained to become wardens, which allow people to battle against one another using these vivosaurs. But before you can get a vivosaur, you have to get a fossil. In order to get a fossil, you have to drive around in a vehicle known as a bone buggy. So the game constantly has you switching between different gameplay styles, switching from running around on foot on the overworld, to driving in a vehicle, to finding fossils, to battling against vivosaurs. That said, it's not like these gameplay styles are bad. They function quite nicely, actually. They're not glitchy, and I definitely had fun with them. It's just that it's constantly switching back and forth, so you don't really have enough time to just sit down and enjoy one gameplay style. You're constantly on the move, which could be a good thing, but to me, it just seems a little cluttered. Isn't it a little weird to have a game be part RPG, part fossil excavation, and part driving? Don't get me wrong, I definitely had fun, and the game does do a good job at explaining what I'm supposed to do and how I should do things. In fact, none of these modes are necessarily boring. The game does do a good job at changing up the pace and changing the environment and all that, but it does feel weird to change gameplay styles so constantly. But, given the source material, I don't really know how else they'd do it. If somebody told you to make a game that featured trucks, dinosaur battles, and fossil digging, how else would you do it? I don't know what I'd do. It's a weird setup, but for what it is, it's not bad. And there's definitely a charm to games that are just so obscure and random that they're fun. It just seems like there's too many ideas at hand here, and not all of them needed to be here. But, for what it is, it's pretty good. But this brings me to my next major complaint about the game. There's a lot of stuff to remember. Because the gameplay styles are so different, there's a ton of stuff that you need to remember, especially when you're battling against other vivosaurs. I understand that it's a role-playing game, and role-playing games should have elements that are easy to understand, yet tricky to master. And this game has that. But there's just a lot of elements to remember. Again, the game does do a good job at explaining things, and even if you forget something, there are plenty of characters that can remind you how certain things work, but it just seems like a player who would want to be good at this game would have to devote a lot of time into it. And there's nothing wrong with a game that requires a lot of your time. It's just that this is a game that I can't really get too into, but I won't mark it down for that. For some reason, I just couldn't get too into this game. I get that this isn't some sort of AAA Nintendo title, hence the lack of American promotion, but since it's a role-playing game, I feel like I should be consuming the role of the main character. This might seem like I'm pushing things too much, but the fact that the main character in this game talks bothers me a little bit. Now, I understand that there are plenty of RPGs in which the main character talks, but with this game specifically, I don't feel like the main character needs to talk. All he, or she if you select the female equivalent, does is say one or two quick sentences that don't really feel like they're necessary to the game's plot. So in this type of scenario, you're not really consuming the role of a character in this role-playing game. You're more so playing as a character in a game that has the name that you give him or her. And the game does have a colorful collection of characters, which I found to be memorable and, at times, funny, but I never really felt connected with them. And this game has a big emphasis on trying to get you to connect with your friends. But I'm still very glad that these characters aren't generic, flat, boring characters with little personality. They're very fun. Even many of the other characters that just stand around have something humorous to say. The game itself is even witty at times, so that's a bit nice to see. Now, earlier I mentioned how this game has many different gameplay styles. Because of this, that means that about the first hour of the game is just explaining things to you. Again, the gameplay itself isn't hard, but man, for some reason, it does seem a bit inconvenient to actually just go out there and fight Venusaurs. Fighting Venusaurs is the main mechanic of the game, and while I did previously say that there's a lot of memorization to it, I do appreciate that there is a bit of depth to it. You can customize various equipment parts and Venusaurs to your liking. You can also participate in tournaments and complete missions. By completing tournaments and winning battles, your Warden ranking will increase, and you'll be able to use different attacks and gain different abilities. You'll also earn gold for every battle that you win, and you can use the gold to purchase more equipment. In that regard, there are plenty of things to do in this game. The battles themselves are fun to do, and you have different attacks that you can do, and when you select an attack, if you input another button at the right time, you can perform different combo attacks and perform different abilities, such as increasing your attack or replenishing your health. The battle system in this game, while similar to that of other RPGs, does a couple of things that provide a nice spin on the idea, which makes battling an enjoyable experience. In fact, you can even compete in local and online multiplayer, which is awesome. You can have up to 6 people play at the same time. You can even do 3v3 battles, or you can look for fossils together. I haven't been able to do any local multiplayer matches, but I have tried online multiplayer. It took me a while to find an opponent, but I'm happy to see that there are people playing online. You get pinned against a random opponent, get ranked based on how you did, and then decide if you'd like to play again. It's a simple and fun online multiplayer mode, though I can't help but feel like this will be underplayed due to how unpopular the game is at the moment. And that's a real shame, because I could see this game having a strong competitive community. But as it stands, the multiplayer will probably continue to be underappreciated. But it is a fun multiplayer. And I can tell that the developers really did try their best to make all of these ideas work. This isn't just some random game that the developers forced into the market. They really tried to make these ideas work, and some ideas succeed while others just feel a bit unnecessary. Still, this is a nifty game that I definitely had fun playing. All in all, Fossil Fighters Frontier is a fun Nintendo 3DS game that offers not just one gameplay experience, but multiple gameplay experiences that will definitely mix things up for gamers. It's a good game, but it's not a system seller. If you're looking for a game where you can just invest your time and try something new, then try Fossil Fighters Frontier. But this isn't a game that I would say people have to buy. It's a shame that the game wasn't pushed as much in the marketing department, as there's definitely a lot of effort put into it. While Fossil Fighters Frontier didn't necessarily blow me away or amaze me with its gameplay, it was definitely a fun experience to play, and I do recommend picking it up. For more news and reviews, be sure to check out GoNintendo.com.